past the meeting time. It's okay.
Okay. All right. So I want to welcome both of you to the mediation. I'm really glad that you came because most of the people that I've ever worked with, they've always been able to solve their problems by coming here. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the process and what's going to unfold. And I'm going to tell you what the ground rules are that we use and to make sure that this all sounds agreeable to you, and then see if you have any questions, and if everything's okay, then we'll go ahead and start the mediation. So to begin, mediation's a process where I, the mediator, will guide you to have a conversation. My goal is to actually have you talk to each other and to come up with your own decisions about what you want to do. So I'm not a cop, or I'm not a teacher, I'm not a judge. I'm here as a guide, like a river raft guide that guides people down the river. I'm here to just kind of guide you through the conversation. And for it to work, it's structured into some different steps. And so first, we're right now just doing the opening. So I'm telling you about the process and getting agreement. Then after that, I'm going to get each of you to tell me what you saw happen, what the situation was for you. And then after that, I'm going to have you talk to each other, and then hopefully by then we'll be coming up with ideas about how to resolve the issue. Okay, so do you have any questions about the process? No?
No.
Okay, okay. All right, so no thoughts about the process, that's fine. So then the ground rules are that, well, first of all, for it to work, one person has to talk at a time, so we can't have any interrupting. Can you agree to that, Beth? No interrupting? Yes? Good. Okay.
Right.
All right. And so, Yvonne, does that sound okay with you?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Then the second ground rule is to use respectful language. So I'm going to ask you to try to refrain from name calling, being, harsh, because that typically just makes things worse. I know it happens sometimes, and so if it does, I'll just remind you, but can you agree to try to use respectful language? Yvonne, does that sound okay with you?
So I can certainly.
You can agree to it. That's all that matters right now. And then Beth, can you agree to use respectful language?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, very good. All right, and then the next one is that we keep everything confidential. So whatever we say here in the room today stays in the room, and you won't be telling other people. You can just tell other people if they know about this that, oh yes, we had a mediation and we worked it out. But don't tell people any of the details of the mediation, because then that just usually makes things worse. It can reignite the conflict. So can you agree to confidentiality, Beth?
Yes.
Okay, and Yvonne, can you agree to confidentiality?
Well, no, because I want it to be known that I feel I'm owed an apology, and if that happens, I would want that to be known. So I can't. I don't see how that could be confidential.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is one of your goals in the mediation is that there's an apology, and there isn't any guarantees about what's going to happen. It's all going to depend on how you communicate with each other and how you cooperate. And you can certainly ask for an apology, but I can't guarantee that at this point. For a minute, okay. All right, so Yvonne, so tell us what events brought you to the mediation, what happened?
We were, we were at the cafeteria, and I was being badgered about long before a deadline, and then the insults started flying. I got called lazy, and I got called a flake, and there was sarcastic and a really ugly tone, really loud in front of colleagues, and I'm new, so I thought it was really out of place. And honestly, I didn't even want to be at this mediation. I was recruited for this job. I didn't go out seeking this job. I was recruited because of the quality of my work. And I moved, I have had to move. I've had to, completely relocate my life in order to be here. And then here on my first job, I've got this lady screaming at me, so
I didn't scream at you. I didn't scream at you at all. I used an
not
assertive
your
tone
turn.
with you.
You agreed.
I didn't.
So,
You
uh,
agreed. It is
I
not
used
your
an
turn.
assertive tone with you.
okay, so Beth, I'm going to let you have a turn to talk. So please just let her finish and then it'll be your turn, okay?
Okay.
All right, Beth, can you just hold
All
on?
right.
All right. Okay,
Oh,
Yvonne, could you finish, please?
Yeah, I'll correct myself. She didn't scream, but she raised her voice and was I don't know how to describe it, but shouting me down and loudly in front of other people. And this is like my introduction to this firm. And I just think, uh, so I just want to go home. I don't want to be here. I mean, she can have the damn images and figure out herself. I don't want to be here.
Okay.
And I'm only here because HR talked me into it.
Okay, so all right, so you two are working together and you had interaction in the cafeteria and you felt the tone was very was unfriendly and you were and you felt like her volume got a lot
Language
more
too.
intense
And
than what
and the presumption and just like arrogance of it all.
okay, so you're you didn't like that maybe um some of the interpretation that was coming out of her towards you and the volume was very
I
high
would
for
call that
you.
kind of arrogance interpretation. I would call it a way of being, and I want nothing to
I
do with
would call it how we operate at the company. Somebody should have told you that
nobody
at
else
the
has spoken
get-go.
to me the way
Okay,
you.
so okay, so hang on. So the
That's the way a
tone.
company operates. That's another reason why I want to go, and I can, because
All right.
they're asking for me back.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So you do not like the way you were
Don't let the
talking.
door hit you on the way back, on the way out. In the
Okay.
back.
Beth, can we
I'm
just
gonna
finish?
as long as I get out of here.
Beth, all right. So we're Yvonne, let me just see if I got what happened for you. All right. So you were in a cafeteria, there was an interaction, the tone and the language that was being used, you found offensive and you felt attacked. And it's making you feel so uncomfortable that you're even thinking about leaving the company. Did I get it?
Well, uncomfortable is an understatement. I mean,
Okay.
I'm insulted beyond measure, and I'm hurt, and I have done nothing but my job, and done it with integrity, and I have a big body to show, big body of images to show, and I wanted to complete it, and long before the deadline, this woman is badgering me and
Oh, okay.
calling me names.
Okay. Okay. So you have a lot of work that you're proud of, lots of images. So you don't think that what was being said to you is warranted in the least, and so
No.
and it's making you very uncomfortable and thinking about you're
I don't
having
know
thoughts
why
about
it's
leaving.
using the word uncomfortable. It's way beyond that. But okay,
Well,
that's
it's severely.
the word you have to use. Yeah, it's making me
Severely. Okay, severely uncomfortable. Okay, so I'm going to just turn to Beth now, and then I'm going to ask both of you some questions. Okay, so Beth, can you tell me how you see the events, what happened for you?
So we were asked to, I thought, collaborate on something, but it wasn't a collaboration, because a collaboration in my mind would be that we would check in with one another along the way, to the point where I would even be willing to go out and with Yvonne as she's taking photos at the COVID sites, and I would be seeing what's going on and putting my story in words, and she would be seeing what's going on and putting her story in pictures.
Okay.
And for more than that,
let me just see if so you're a writer, and she's a photographer. Is that right?
right?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So and frankly, I'm really used to working with my other guy, but he Frank ended up retiring, and so this was a new gig, and it just didn't go very well. I mean, I would have been checking in. I did try to check in with her, and she wouldn't respond to my emails and my texts. She just said, I've got things going on. Don't worry about it. I'm like, hey, we need to check in. I need to see if your images are even close to what I'm seeing, right? And nothing. It was only supposed to be for 15 minutes each time, to the point where, it's just like, wow, she's just blowing me off. And then it got to be where it is now, a week before the actual deadline. And I just wanted to have something in place to edit with her. And we have nothing. We haven't even met. We haven't even really spoken. And so I finally did blow my top over it, like, because I've got a great reputation, and I know she does too, and we're not producing anything, and it's part of the company procedure to have something before you go to the editor. The editor is just supposed to do the last final touches.
Okay, all right. So you're on a project together. What's the project specifically?
Viewing it's just basically covering the COVID crisis.
Oh, okay. So you're doing a story on the COVID crisis, and you're the writer, and she's a photographer, and
That's
you're used to working with people that like to have conversations along the way while you're working on it, and
right.
that's what you're used to. Yeah.
That's kind of what happened.
Okay.
75 to 95% done.
Okay. So you're used to a process where there's conversations along the way when you're working with somebody, and the two of you, the photographer and you, the writer, would have conversations while you're working on it, and try to make your work match up for the project. Is that correct?
Right.
So that's what you used
Absolutely.
to. That's what's been the way. And you've been there 20 years. Wow, that's a long time you've been there. Okay. And you had another photographer named Frank you used to work with?
Right.
And Frank's gone now?
Frank's gone, but that's how we operated.
Okay, so that's how you operated. Okay. All right, so I think I got it. And so then, and so you are admitting that you got heated in the cafeteria. And you said the words you used were, I blew my top. And so how do you feel about that now?
So, I mean, how do I feel about it? I'm sorry that happened, but at the same time, the level of frustration was huge. I was getting nothing back from her. Nothing. All I was getting back from her was like, yeah, I'm on it. I've got it going on. No big deal. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Well, with the deadline approaching, that's not how we operate in this company. You know, you kind of have to kind of meet with people along the way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're used to working in a way where you have a connection and conversations with your colleague when you're working on a project together, and those conversations weren't happening. So you were getting frustrated, and that frustration led to you blowing up because you had a week left to complete the project, and you hadn't seen any of her pictures yet, and you really felt like that was required to do a good job.
That's right.
Is that right? Okay.
Almost company policy.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Thanks for that. Okay. Yvonne, I wanted to know what's been your experience of working together with somebody on a project?
I came here, I was hired to do the work the way as I thought, the way I do it. And that is to get it together and then, and have a deadline for that. And then get together with my writer. And also, did you hear how she said, I got to make sure the pictures match my story? That's not journalism. I don't know where she gets the idea that she's the editor of this. And that's what it sounds like to me, because
okay, let me just, Beth, I'll get to you in a second.
I'm really close to leaving this meeting.
Okay.
Because I already have mentioned that I would have been willing to work with her.
Use the words have.
Okay, Beth, let me just finish up. Beth, please just give me 30 seconds to finish up with Yvonne, and I'll come back to you and we'll go back and forth some more. But Yvonne, what I'm hearing from you is that you felt some pressure around the deadline and that you wanted to work on your photos so that you can meet the deadline, and you were not used to somebody asking you to see the pictures before the deadline. So you didn't understand why she was doing this. And so you just kept saying, yes, I'm working on it. Your experience where you've worked before is that you just work until the deadline and then you bring the work together. The writing and the photos come together at the end of the project rather than during the project.
What I am accustomed to is that we know what the story appears to be, and we go out and look for the story. We look for the whys. It's like there's a problem, and we have to be the analyst and figure out by looking at real evidence what the story is. And we're both doing that, and we trust each other to do that.
Yvonne, what I'm hearing from you is that you do know how to work with people. You've done it before, and the way that you've done it is to just work until the deadline, and then the work comes together. And the photographer and the writer, they don't make decisions together about what goes into it. You each are just working independently. And what you wanted was trust that you were doing a good job, and you're not
Well, that job.
understanding why she wants to meet and talk in the middle of the project, because that's not what has happened where you've worked. That's,
No.
you haven't.
Well,
Yvonne, let me stop here, and because I need to let Beth talk now, because she has been waiting for a long
all right.
time. Okay, so
Okay.
Beth, what I heard from you is that in the way that the style that you're used to, what you're used to doing is meeting with the photographer periodically, checking base and exchanging work so you can see what each other has been putting together.
Yes.
Okay, so that's how it's been, that's how it's done for you. With you, that's how it's been working. Okay, so is there anything else that you think that I should need to know about this project or about what's happened?
Yes, because if she had just simply answered an email with, hey, not just that I'm working, I would have been more than happy to just go out with her into the field to see if we were recording the information. Were we reading the scene the same way? I'm reading it with words and she's reading it with pictures. That's all I really wanted to do. But we
So you
weren't
wanted
able
to,
to.
you would have liked to have like just had some contact, some communication, and actually go to the field together so that
Yes,
you're looking for the same information.
right. To
That's
make
what you
sure
would
that we've
like.
got the coverage correct, that it's really
Okay.
realistic,
Uh-huh.
not
Okay.
sensationalized, all of that.
Okay. All right. So how did you feel when you couldn't have any of those conversations?
Completely frustrated. But a lot of frustration. I mean, and just like I was being avoided and blown off.
Okay. So you read her reply that I'm working on it. You read that as a way of disregarding your request to communicate.
Right.
That's how you
Yes.
interpret it. Okay. All
That's
right.
how.
So all right. So Yvonne, can like ask you then, you said that typically you work on your projects until the very, very end, and then you let the editor make decisions about if things are working out or not, and then we'll, ask for changes if once you've already turned it in. Is that correct, Yvonne?
One of the things I'm getting here is that's like and I want to give Beth the credit here, because I understand what frustration is if you're trying to meet a goal, and it was not at all my intention to frustrate her. I was doing, I thought I was doing my job. Certainly, no matter how a collaboration is going, you don't talk to somebody like that. And she's already apologized, but I don't think I really got to know that there's some respect, that there's respect between workers and
Okay.
regard
All
for the
right.
other person's way of looking at things, and a way to work that out.
All right. So what I want to do right now is just check and make sure I fully understand what's going on, and then I want to let you talk to each other, because I think that you're ready to do that, to start communicating directly. So what I'm hearing is that you were working on your project, you're getting work done, you're used to a style of working where you work independently until the deadline, then you bring your work together at the deadline, and you have
For, the initial meeting, I mean, we had no conversation, no meeting.
oh
Then
well, you had
got
no
the
meetings.
assignment.
So,
We
okay,
got the assignment and we went. And
right.
and there's this, again, where I come from, we all know each other so well. The assignment comes, we look at each other and say, go. And that
Okay, all
that
right.
couldn't have happened here. And I realize that now. But I was trying to make it happen. And I was,
Okay.
and obviously it wasn't, it was misinterpreted. It was not received well. I don't know. I wish there had been some way to figure that out early on.
Okay, so there was never a conversation about how you're going to work together. That never happened. that you just started and you were working in your photographer mode. You just went out there and you just started working like you always have, and you had really good experience at the other paper. So you just assumed it was going to be the same way here, but it wasn't working for Beth. And so Beth, you felt frustrated because you wanted to have some conversations along the way, and those conversations never happened. And so that's why you blew up with in that conversation with Yvonne. And that's so that's where you are right now, where there's been a lot of tension generated from that conversation. But Beth, I'm hearing you had a lot of tension that was building up that came out. And Yvonne, you're feeling, you felt hurt, and you felt like your work was being invalidated because the way that she talked to you. So you didn't like her tone, and you didn't like the language that you chose. So did I pretty much capture what both of you are feeling?
And also that she did it in public. That she felt
okay. So it happened. Yeah. So it happened in a cafeteria, so other people heard it, and that's embarrassing for you to have that happen, to be talked about that way. Yes.
Yeah. Never in my entire career have I seen anything like that happen between colleagues.
Okay.
I thought it was, I was floored.
I called you lazy and a flake, and I'm sorry. And here's the thing. Your job was on the line, my job was on the line, and the paper's reputation was on the line. So
Okay.
in the future, I'm starting to
so
lazy? You're defending calling me lazy when everything's on the line? How is that supposed to create?
Okay, so I need both of you to just stop here for a minute, because I need to follow the process. So all I want to know right now is if both of you feel like I fully understand what the situation is.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Do? Okay. So if that is the case, then we can go and start talking about, we can start getting into the conversation that you're going to have with each other. So we're going to go back into it here. So Beth, a little earlier, you did issue an apology, and I would like to go back to that, and I would like you to talk to Yvonne about what you're apologizing for, and then we'll take it from there. So why don't you go ahead and you were trying to talk to her earlier, and I interrupted you, so I'm giving you the opportunity now to go ahead and tell her directly.
Okay, so Yvonne, I am sorry for having called you a flake and say that you were lazy in public. It wasn't meant to be in public. People were coming in as we're having the conversation. It wasn't done deliberately that way to humiliate you. But I was frustrated, and I'm not saying that that was okay. I am apologizing for that, and I'm also, I guess, in hearing your story, I'm now wondering if we had had a conversation at the outset about how you roll and how I roll, if that could have made this a little better. And in the future, is that something that we should, really iron out so that we can be collaborative in the future for, future projects.
So, okay. So, Yvonne, thank you for that, Beth. Thank you for the apology. I think it's helpful. So Yvonne, how are you feeling with the apology? Go ahead and tell Beth how you're feeling right now.
I feel tremendous relief because, like I said, I was really so shocked, and I understand that you didn't expect it to be public, and I understand that you were frustrated, and I agree with you. I'm totally on board and agree with you that if we could have talked, and I really like the way you put that. It's like different, and I hear you. I think you were so frustrated that was getting in the way of talking to me like a person, and but when you said, if we could have had a conversation, this could be avoided. I'm thank you for that. Thank you for that. I agree. And also I just really appreciate that you said how you roll, how I roll. Because again, that's not presuming that you know, what you have been doing in the firm for 20 years, which may really be, I don't know, I believe you that it's the way people do things here, but it's not in writing, and I wasn't given any introduction to that. So I'm open, and I'm thinking that because of the amount of space my colleagues and I gave each other, isn't going to be appropriate, especially because we don't know each other that well. I don't think I know. I think you're great. I mean, I was talking about. I didn't mean it. I mean, I was really angry just now when I said that's not journalism, but I know your work, and I know that you're a really fine journalist with a great eye and a level-minded perspective. So I would really like to know, rather than saying, okay, let's meet this time. If you give, I wonder if we split. In this case, there are lots of sites involved that we both know about. I wonder if we could say, okay, we're going to make a schedule of sites so that we go, and you know, and also you said go together. I would love that. You know, that can be a really you know, exciting thing when, you know, when you key each other in on what you're observing, and you know, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Oh,
I
okay.
like that.
Oh, okay, great. So
Great.
Beth, why don't you go ahead and talk to Yvonne, tell her what you're thinking about what she just shared with you.
All right, so Yvonne, thank you for that. I actually think that given your abilities and skill level, and given where I've been in the past, that if we were to go together to some of these sites, that that would be incredible. I think that we could be a new team. We could bring this to a new level. Journalism as at its best. You know, I just think that your eye and my perspective, we could really join together and really create something that'd be amazing. So I'm really glad that we've had this time, and I'm actually glad that you were able to accept my apology and hear it. Glad that Dr. Eleni was here to help us to get to this point, because you know, frankly, I thought you were just going to pack your bags and go, and I was going to have to, you know, find somebody else to work with. But I really think that there's hope here, and I'm happy to lay down the old way of how I used to do things and look at a new way with you. Collaborate, truly look at your skills and my skills and make something new here.
Mm-hmm.
A new way, new approach.
Okay. So Yvonne, how does that sound to you when you hear her?
That sounds really exciting. I mean, that's why I came to this paper. I think the minds that work here are, you know, that's why I accepted. You know, I even spoke to people. I get called from recruiters all the time, and I just thought that the writing and the journalism of this paper is really strong. And Beth, I know you have a way with words, and I might be intimidated by that sometimes. My bailiwick is images, as you know, as you said, and that but that I have a lot of respect for your skill, you know, and how you boil things down to just exactly what the reader needs to know, and what anybody needs to know, understand what's going on, and that's part of the reason why I was just so, you know, blown out of the water. You're really direct. So yeah, and I just hope that you know, I still do fear getting a position where I have no words, and I just want to show you something, and in the time frame that you know, like. So I think if we could please go forward with really clear, you know, sectional deadlines, because I can hear how you need to see things, you know, in chunks. You know, I hear you and I get it.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay.
well, yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah,
I'm really excited about moving forward. I'm thrilled.
Okay.
Awesome. Well,
This
thank
is
you.
really good.
I'm excited about this.
Okay. So
You know,
this.
sometimes it takes sometimes, you know, there's lessons for everything. I don't think that anything is out there. What I'm trying to say is, I think that everything happens for a reason, and even in times of trouble, it's a double-edged sword. You know, there's always a gift, and I'm sensing that we're going to be an amazing team, probably more amazing than I could have ever imagined. So, willing to give it a shot.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you, both of you. We've made a lot of progress here. I think you have some new insights about the conflict and what happened, why it unfolded the way it did. And it sounds like you're coming up with some ideas about how to move forward. So we have like, you haven't to move forward. So we have like, you have an immediate deadline on this particular project. So it's, did you say it was doing a week?
Yeah, it's pretty much a
I
week.
heard
Wouldn't
that
you
too.
agree?
Okay. Okay. So so you have a week for this particular project. So we have the kind of short range goal for how you can work together to get this particular project done. And then you could also set up another plan for a more long range goal about how you want to work together in the future so that you could prevent this kind of conflict from happening again. Okay. So what's your idea about right now? What are some concrete things that you could decide right now while you're together to do to meet your deadline next week?
Well, I've got an idea. I think that I trust Yvonne so much on this, and I know her work has been out amazing. I've heard it from a number of people, and that's why she was hired on. That's why she was sought after. So why don't we just go with her direction? I'm sensing that she would be willing to show all of her work to when she has it to me, and we can look at it. And if it's, you know, I'm even fine with just getting her work and my work together and giving it to the editor and letting him make the decisions.
Oh,
There's probably not going to be much to edit.
Well, something that would help me is to just to know more about your expectations in terms of what you think needed a picture. But if you would just like highlight the stuff that you thought was really image worthy, I can at least work around that, and then I can also do the same. Say, here's some things, you know, that I think would be add-ons.
Okay, that sounds good. I think we've got a good plan here. I think that this is all perfect.
okay.
And I really am sorry for how it rolled out, but I think in the end here, it's going to be amazing going forward.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so I want to see if I got this right. Okay. So I want to see if I have what you're talking about right, because I'm writing down the agreement now. So what I'm hearing is Beth agrees to send the current draft of the manuscript to Yvonne, and to also highlight some areas where she thinks some photos could be helpful if you have any images like that. And then and Yvonne agrees to accept looking at that and to think through her photos in terms of what is sent to her.
Yeah, awesome. I do think in the future, going out together is going to be way easier. I think it's going to be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I could put down that that Beth and Yvonne both agree that for future assignments, you will go into the field together.
Yes.
Whenever that's possible.
Yeah.
Possible. Okay.
Yeah.
There are times when, you know, there's multiple assignments, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Away, but we can at least have that initial conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
And if
So
we already know.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
So Yvonne, I just heard you say that based on an initial conversation. So should I also put into the agreement that when you're given a project to work on together, that you will have an initial conversation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So when you're in the future, when you're given a project, both of you, then you will have an initial conversation and talk about how you want to work together. If it's possible, you will go in the field together, but you will have that initial conversation to kind of decide how you want to work together. Here's the agreement that because we're doing the social distancing thing, I'm going to have to email you each it to sign separately. But so what I have here is that for right now, Beth is going to send Yvonne the manuscript and highlight areas where she thinks there could be pictures. Yvonne's going to look at that and consider her pictures in light of the manuscript. then for future assignments together, you're going to have an initial meeting and talk about how you want to work together. And that if it's possible, you will even try to go into the field together so that you're getting some of the same data into your stories, whether it's photos or words and so on. Okay, so is there anything else that you would like me to put in the agreement?
I have a question that if, I think I feel really good about this right now,
Yeah.
but we're human, stuff could come up. Can we use this forum again if we need to?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You can always come to mediation. That's one of the great things about your company is that, they call me in anytime that they feel like it could be helpful to people, right? So you just have to contact your HR department. You can ask for me. I'm sure they have other good people too, but just feel free to ask for me. I'm very happy to help you again. So Beth, how does that sound to you that if you ever have another conflict that you would agree to come to mediation again?
That sounds good.
Without being scared, we're going to walk out of here just knowing that I need help communicating.
So
I like that. How about you,
got it?
Yvonne?
Okay, well, I wanna thank you for putting your hearts and minds into this, working through. It was, there were some points that I could sense the frustration and that it was very difficult, but you worked through it and you came to a really good agreement. I think this is an excellent agreement for collaborative work in the future. So congratulations. If we didn't have social distancing, I'd shake your hand. So I can shake to you. Okay, so there you go. Okay, and okay, good luck to you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll email you the agreements. All right, take care.
Okay, thanks.